Hi and welcome to the April episode of Spotlight on UNBC. My name is Robb Fry. Coming up on the show this month, we'll talk technology and tuition, and we'll meet the first UNBC graduate student to complete the requirements for a master's degree. But coming up next, highlights from Winterfest 96 as we celebrate the arrival of spring here on Spotlight on UNBC for April 1996.
Men and women from throughout this region believed in the idea of a university of the North. They worked hard and they succeeded.
I can easily predict that these will be seen as the golden years of this university.
You and I have been involved in a process that was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
You can value education and go elsewhere and get the same information. But if you value what you get out of it as a person and your input into it, then UNBC is an awesome experience.
I take pride in opening the university, and I wish you all, in whatever capacity you serve the cause of learning, a bright and successful future.
University is more than sitting in a lecture hall listening to professors. Believe it or not, it's a place where you can actually have a lot of fun. That's the spirit behind Winterfest, one of the biggest events of the year at UNBC. This year's version included the world's worst lecture competition, a chemistry magic show, the great paper airplane contest, and a visit by about 600 high school students.
I'm doing this because I was begged by certain people to take part, but mostly because it's fun to get out and try a new sport, which I haven't done before but I've been interested in, so I'm doing it. And the best part is I can now take up javelin too. You're going down, boy.
I think it's really important that the university reach out to the community and that we avoid sort of having the university community separated from the city. So I think events like this are really important, inviting the people up here, making sure the university interacts with the city. I think that's very important.
And having a chance to beat the pants off your competitors at the same time.
Yeah, well, that didn't work out too well, beating the pants off the competitors, but maybe next time. I told them, they're using the wrong kind of swords. That's what the problem was, wrong kind of swords.
When I get up in the morning and I want to cook myself some juice or make myself some juice, I start off with my apple juice, right? And you take apple juice out of the refrigerator and you pour it into a cup, and what do you get? You get apple juice. When I do it, I get blueberry juice, or at least on Mondays I get blueberry juice, because when I do it on Tuesdays, I get lemon juice. When I do it on Wednesdays, I get grapefruit juice. When I do it on Thursdays, I get raspberry juice. When I do it on Fridays, well, that's when you go drink the milk. Now, for those of you who are really paying attention down here, you might have noticed that I had the compound in the bottom of the beaker, right? And in fact, all we're doing is creating compounds. This isn't really apple juice. This is a compound called, surprise, surprise, right? This is a compound called ferric ammonium sulfate, and ferric ammonium sulfate reacts with the various constituents to give these nice, long-lasting, beautiful colors. You can do it, much of what I was doing was just the same sort of thing here, where you take two liquids and you pour them together. And you get nice color forming. Or at least, I used to get color forming. This is a process called chemiluminescence, and it's really tiring if you do it with the squirt gun, so let's do it on a slightly larger scale. What I'm doing is I'm mixing together two compounds. One of them is a compound called luminol. Luminol you can synthesize in the lab. Chemists do it. It's part of a second-year chemistry course. It's a high-energy compound. When I mix it together with the other solution, the bonds break, and that breaking of the bond causes it to emit light. It emits a nice blue light, which is the stuff you're seeing. This is the same reaction that is performed in those little glow sticks that you can buy for camping and for safety.
I think it brings a lot of the students together, gives them exposure to all the other areas of study in here, and it's great for school spirit and facilitates higher learning.
Being in the Outdoors Club, we find that it's really hard to get people out doing stuff in the winter just because sort of the whole season for both semesters is almost entirely winter, and it's really good to get people doing stuff and to have people looking at photos and just getting involved. I haven't seen the campus so busy in almost, well, since I've been here. So it's good to see people having a good time, and I think the feeling around the school today is really great.
Well, having Winterfest and having actually people coming out and play volleyball is pretty cool. But today is Winterfest. We have a lot of students coming out, about 700 I've heard, from the high schools. And coming out, we're trying to get and promote a little bit of volleyball. I'm in charge of the volleyball club, soon to become the team, as soon as we get a little more participation coming up. But otherwise, it's all good. Feel pretty good, y'all. Good. Take.
What am I doing?
No, it's okay. Other team. Everybody walks by the Winter Garden because you have to. It's the way the school's set up. They come by, they see people play volleyball, they join in, and they play, which makes them happy, makes me happy, everybody's happy.
The contestants that nobody else has. I've got incriminating pictures of the other guys and the other women here. So, as you can see, I've got them here.
First day of class, sorry I'm a bit late here. I don't have the outline written up for you. I just returned from Bahamas where I was doing my research. We were looking at the effects of UA and UAB on epidermal tissue on the gluteus maximus. It's well known in social sciences that there has been a bias towards using women in research, so my subjects were all female and from the age of 15 and up. Okay, textbooks. The big blue one, you can get it in the bookstore. It should be in. the cretin complained that it isn't in yet. I gave him the order on Thursday. I don't know what the hell's the matter. Cost me about $100. Actually, I got it free. UNBC price, mere $247.
Here we have the poem, and I just want you to follow the poem as I read it through and watch for this wonderful rhythm. I'll just read it out here. Little lamb who made thee, dost thou know who made thee? Gave thee life and bid thee feed, by the stream and o'er the mead, gave thee clothing of delight. You see, I don't gave thee such a tender, yes. Okay, splendid. Now, yeah, we didn't see it. We'll be able to do. Okay, we'll do it again.
The fundamental map that we're going to use here is easy to write down. It's the integral e to the x equal to omega over gamma super naught. We'll skip that function.
I would take the runner-up to this contest to be Dr. Dowling, and our winner is undoubtedly, unanimously, Robb Fry.
Universities have a special mandate to conduct research, and much of the research activity at UNBC is geared towards addressing issues of northern BC. Giving research a real-world application is a fuel for economic growth, and that's the purpose behind the Technology Centre, a new creation of both UNBC and the College of New Caledonia. The Technology Centre will help advance local research and development by working to pair academics with local business and industry.
One of the aims of the Technology Centre is to help to bridge the gulf that has traditionally existed between institutions of higher education and industry. Institutions of higher education have prided themselves on being centers of expertise, of knowledge, of high-tech research equipment, a pool of resources that can be of use to the community and to industries in the community. We also recognize that industries are centers of expertise and knowledge and high-tech research equipment that serve as a resource for our pursuit of higher learning. So a partnership is a natural thing for us to engage in.
A partnership has already emerged between the university and Canadian Woodworks, a Prince George-based value-added operation. The company is using UNBC expertise in artificial intelligence to design a more efficient plant management system.
Well, the objective is we've just recently built this plant with a lot of high-tech equipment in it, and what we'd like to do is be able to tie that all together with our current methods of producing the product and shipping the products and so on, to try to improve the speed with which we get the product to market, meeting deadlines, and improve our efficiencies in the utilization of the raw material itself.
We take the knowledge from the employees here, which they all have in their heads after years and years of experience, and we find ways of encoding that knowledge so that the machine can use it, the machine meaning our computer can use it to reason about what is going to be the best cut list for the saw. This is critical because if we have a good cut list, we'll get efficient production. If we don't have a good cut list, we don't get efficient production. And that's the problem that can arise with this kind of high-tech equipment. They have a very sophisticated saw here, a chop saw, which is computer controlled. But so far it's proved a little bit difficult to get very efficient usage out of the saw. The idea is to get the most efficient possible use of the material and run the saw at the highest possible speed while doing that.
Getting industry into the academic world and getting the academic world into industry
has some tremendous impacts to both sides. The universities benefit from it by being able to bring practical examples of real-life problems back into the classroom, for example, and also to focus their research programs on real local issues.
I think this is an excellent example of the kind of cooperation that can take place between industry and the university to promote technology transfer between ourselves, the university, and industry. We have some expertise which can be applied. Industry has needs in terms of their research and development. It's bringing the two together that's difficult, and I think our new Northern BC Technology Centre is just exactly the vehicle to promote that kind of cooperation.
We're kicking off this version of the news headlines with more high-tech news. Visitors to the Prince George campus will notice that Student Services Street has now been officially named in honor of BC Tel. The company has committed about $500,000 to UNBC to support scholarships and bursaries and to support the expansion of the university's communication system.
BC Tel has been involved in the installation of over 23 kilometers of fiber optic cabling throughout the campus. And in terms of having fiber optic cabling into the residences, throughout the campus, in the classrooms, this is one of the most advanced universities, if not the most advanced university in Canada.
This has been going on for a number of years now, and certainly as we look to go forward, the investment in UNBC on our part, the contribution we've made, is focused on where we believe we have to go strategically.
Later in the show, we'll introduce you to the first UNBC graduate student to complete the coursework necessary to obtain a master's degree. But there was also a ceremony last month to honor the first undergraduate UNBC students to graduate from the forestry program. The Canadian Institute of Forestry handed out rings to 9 UNBC students who will be eligible to graduate from UNBC at the May convocation ceremony.
You're going into a new age. The new age is upon us, and I like to think that the university is helping to put people into the field and into the offices that will be able to cope with this new age. Resource management and resource managers of today and of the future have to have the flexibility to adapt to rapid change. The demands of the society of which we are all a part put tremendous demands upon the profession. And I think that you'll be capable of dealing with those demands, because part of the intent of the education at this university is hopefully to provide you with that flexibility through being able to think through problems and dealing with those. I share with you, I think, of pride and accomplishment. You've been through some pretty interesting times at the University of Northern British Columbia. You've been here as part of that pioneer group through the development phase of the institution. And it hasn't all been easy. Not for you, for the faculty, or for those people who have been in administration. But by golly, we're here. You're going to graduate this year, and you're going to be very important messengers for what this university is all about.
Universities are facing new social, political, and fiscal challenges, and UNBC President Charles Jago hosted a public lecture series focusing on the changes universities need to make. Former York University President Harry Arthurs kicked off the series, which concluded last month with talks by Simon Fraser President John Stubbs and UBC boss David Strangway.
The pressures and the temptations to hedge and trim on our fundamental purposes in the years ahead will increase, not decline. If we are to move ahead, we must clearly understand who we are, where we came from, where we want to go, and how we plan to get there.
The perception that universities are unresponsive and unchanging and staid institutions, I just think is simply without foundation. Nothing could be further from the truth. Through the centuries, And particularly in the way I've been trying to describe, we are the cause, we are the agents of this change. It is our research, it is our faculty members, it is our graduates who have been and will continue to be the causes of these changes and that have driven us to be a part of today's knowledge-intensive, interconnected world. Every time you use a portable computer or have access to a modern medical breakthrough, or for that matter, travel by car or plane, please stop and think about the thousands of university faculty members and their students who were the basis that made all of this possible.
As universities face new challenges, university students are having to face uncertainty over tuition fees. New Education, Skills and Training Minister Paul Ramsey hosted a news conference on campus last month to outline what the tuition fee situation would be for the 1996-97 academic year.
The announcement today of a tuition freeze for next year is one more step, and there are more to come. I want to talk just a bit about what a tuition freeze means, first, especially for us here in the North. We're here today at UNBC, first university to open in this whole country in the last quarter of a century. It's a university in its infancy. If this university is to be successful, students have to be able to afford to come here. And part of that success means that people who may never have dreamt of getting a university degree, people who may be the first person in their family ever to go on to post-secondary education, need to know that it's not too far away, it's not too expensive, and they do have a chance. And this announcement, I think, holds out that hope.
I think we're all happy sort of in the short term. There's a little bit of cautious optimism in there, looking at the future, looking at what's going to happen next year and the next year, because it's an ongoing process with the cuts. And although it's excellent for the students of today and tomorrow, what's it going to be in 5-10 years down the road?
Can I guarantee a zero for the years after? No. And anybody who says they can is blowing smoke. But I will say we got a zero this year at a time when nobody thought we could do it, when other provinces are jacking them 15 and 20%. That's a record that I'm prepared to run on and say that's what we delivered this year. Give us a vote and we'll do it again next year.
It's been said that you don't just take history at UNBC, you make history at UNBC. Even though UNBC is now in its second year of full operations, there are still many firsts. Seth Raymond of Prince George has become the first UNBC graduate student to complete the requirements for a master's degree after he successfully defended his thesis last month. Seth will be getting his Master's of Education degree at the May convocation ceremony.
It was exciting being in the first class, very exciting, because you were part of the setup of it. There was no set structure for how the courses would work or even what the exact requirements would be. It was broadly outlined, but you, in collaboration with the professors, in a way started the program, and what we do is going to set what the program will do in the future.
Now a counselor at D.P. Todd Secondary in Prince George, Seth began his coursework in July 1994 at Williams Lake. UNBC offered courses in the Caribou as part of a pilot project launched even before UNBC opened for full operations.
I was living in Prince George trying to get on teaching, so it was summer holidays coming up, and I'd come down from Fort St. John where I'd subbed up there, and I heard that the courses were starting, and they were starting in Williams Lake, and time is short, time is money, and I wanted to see if I could complete it as quickly as possible, so I rented a place in Williams Lake. There was two, myself and another student that went down for that first session at Williams Lake from Prince George.
It was enough to have a pilot started, and that it started prior to the university opening was a little bit frightening because there wasn't a lot of policy and procedure in place. So farthest thought from my mind at that time was that the university's first graduate might come out of this particular group. But I'm glad it has a way of knitting the region to the university and indicating that we are a regional university. I don't think I could think of a finer expression than to have a person combine the two parts of the university program.
Well, we found a lot of interest, and we found enough, in fact, that I think it really sat us up quite sharply to realize, especially at the master's level, how many people were, in fact, ready to go on to that stage. And quite eager and quite committed, I think.
basically I'm very happy with what I got. And in a sense, I still feel some support from them even now. Like even while I've been working here for the last few months, I've been kind of constant contact writing my thesis with my supervisors and the professors I used to have. And I still feel that even if I'm finished my thesis, I could still go up for support or for advice or whatever. There's that type of connection. So it's a long-term type feeling you have from UNBC.
Thanks for watching this episode of Spotlight on UNBC. Tune in next month to find out more of what's happening at the University of Northern British Columbia. We'll leave you with a clip from the world's worst lecture competition. Dennis Macnack won the title last year, and in true beauty pageant fashion, he outlined the many highlights from his year as the world's worst lecturer before handing over the crown to this year's winner, Robb Fry. We'll see you next month.
My year was a whirlwind of activities. I got to be on CBC radio, and here's the tape of that program. I traveled many exotic and exciting places and delivered many lectures. I want to show you some slides of these trips. Here I am in Hickson. The title of this lecture, coincidentally, was Math. What is it? Here I am in 100 Mile House. The title of this lecture was Technology. Why? Here I am in Sparwood and Fernie. The title of this lecture was Sex. Who? I won many great gifts last year, and I know this year's winner will be receiving some of the following gifts. I don't know what they are. Having won the Worlds here last year, I am now preparing for the intergalactic competition. You know how tough those Cardassian rat bastards are. During the year of my reign, I have enjoyed many new opportunities and met many interesting people. It has been a great year, and I hope the next worst lecturer will enjoy themselves as much as I have. Thank you.